people, Jeff the King here with Team Critical Trigger, and today I'm bringing you some more deck theory. This is just a little video I thought I'd bring out because some people sometimes are a bit iffy about this. And today it's all about Megablast. Is it worth it? Is it really worth having a card in your deck that runs the Megablast effect? Because let's face it, in a normal deck, most of the time, you're not really going to get the effect off. You got to get 8 in your soul, which most of the time most people only have one way of doing it, and that's their soul charge effect itself, and sometimes the effects are a bit mediocre. So what times is it worth putting one of these guys in? Well, here I have 2 examples of guys that are worth putting in. These are, I don't have many of the Megablast cards. I don't try to collect them because I don't have many decks at the moment. At the moment, my Nova Grappler deck's the only deck I've got finished. I'm halfway through building Gold Paladins. This guy's not going in, by the way, but I have seen a Gold Paladin deck run this guy very, very successfully. If the guy from Leeds that I versed before, I'm actually impressed of how well you've built your deck to make this guy run, so thumbs up to you if you're actually going to watch this, but if not, whatever. And basically, yeah, sometimes it's worth it. Number 1, Mr. Invincible. His effect, I have seen decks that are based around doing nothing but getting this guy's effect off, because it is a really good effect. If you can get it off, you're going to be in a pretty good position, because his Megablast effect is, when he hits, you use his Megablast and everything you have stands. Absolutely everything, including himself, which means you basically get a complete second attack that phase, which is a really good effect. Most Nova Grappler decks don't really have any way to actually make up your soul other than his effect itself. So if you're going to make just a normal Nova Grappler deck, Mr. Invincible, he's probably not going to get his effect off. But, saying that, he is in my Nova Grappler deck, and that's simply because I like him to sit there. On my ideal field, front row anyway, is Mr. Invincible there, a Stealth Dragon Voidmaster there, and if I find it right now, a Brutal Jack there. That's my ideal front row. That's how I want it to be set up, because my Mr. Invincible will unflip damage every turn, and that means I can counterblast with him, and I can counterblast with him. I'll eventually get to the point where I can't counterblast with both, obviously, because I'm only making 1 a turn, but then I'd just intercept with him, or retire him and replace him with something else. But for the first few turns, I want it to be like this, because this is it's basically an aggro deck. That's how I run it, and this is how I want it, because I want to push through as many attacks as possible. And he basically unflips my damage, which, even if you don't run this guy like I run, he sat there with him basically means this guy can attack every turn. And this guy attacking every turn is very, very good, because he's 11k grade 2, and he's pretty broken. They work very well together. They just sat there on the field together, and people with him there and him there fear him. I 100% say people will most of the time ignore my Vanguard and go for Brutal Jack, because Brutal Jack's going to be a pain in their ass if you don't get rid of him. Though that's one reason he's worth it, because just making your Brutal Jacks hit. But I've also seen impure Nova Grappler decks that have things like Rock the Wall, which just boost up your soul just to make this guy work. That's the time when it's useful. Other ones that are similar are the Pale Moon one and Dark Irregular one. Can't remember the names, but they soul charge. They do something. You don't really care what they do. You're putting them in just to soul charge. That's another reason why they can be worth it. Those guys are very, very much worth it just to get your soul up. That's all they're run for. So that's one time when it's worth it. Let's say Vortex Dragon. His effect is mediocre. I don't really like his effect. He soul charges, gains a bit of attack. That's pretty cool. He's 12k in Vanguard, but you got better options, let's face it. You don't really want a Vortex Dragon in a Kagera deck. He's not exactly amazing. That's the time when it's not really worth it. Now, next card. Agravain. You're so good. You're such a good card. The deck I've seen, basically, it's a normal Gold Paladin deck, but with Agravain in. There's not really any difference to a normal Gold Paladin deck, except the guys realised how broken Agravain's effect is, and how easy it is to get Agravain off. Simply because you superiorize your Blonde Hazel, which makes your soul go up quite a bit. You put this guy out, you soul charge a few turns, not that many turns compared to like the bloody 5 turns you'd have to get off with one of these. I think it's 5, that was just a guess. And then you use his effect, and the thing that makes it worth it, sure you have to wait a few turns before you can get it, but the thing that makes it worth it is simply because this guy's effect is so good. That's another reason why Mr. Invincible sometimes has decks based around him. His effect is amazing. This guy you Megablast until the end of the game, he gains plus critical, and he gains 1000 attack for every gold paladin rearguard you have. That's really good. There's no way getting around that. That is really good. Normally, just a counter +1 and plus 1000 till the end, you'd consider that a good effect. This is until the end of a game, which means every time he swings at you, he's swinging at you most of the time at 15k with 2 criticals, which makes your opponent shit themselves. This is why he is worth it. This is why I've seen the deck based around him. And I'm impressed. I never thought about doing it myself. This guy, total credit to him. He did it himself. He did it originally because he didn't have all the cards he wanted, and then got this in and then basically stuck with it because it worked out amazingly for him. And kudos to him. It was a good idea, and this is another instance when it is totally worth running one of these. Now, I'll have to leave it up to you when you think what you think is a good or bad effect. I can't say that for you. I can say what I think is a good or bad effect. I think he's good, I think he's good, I think Vortex Dragon kinda sucks ass. That's all down to each person's opinion. Obviously though, if you'll put one of these in and he's not working for you, take him out as soon as possible. Or base the deck around him. That's the only way to get around it, because just putting one of these, let's say I put this in my Gold Paladin build, is going to be around Pelennor. I'm waiting for those to come out. That's why my Gold Paladin deck isn't finished. I haven't bothered with Blonde Hazel or anything because I don't want them in eventually, so I'm not wasting the money on them. Putting him in that deck, not going to work for me. Just putting one of these in a deck will not work for anyone really. You need to base it more around them, or it has to be a deck that just benefits from the either ability that he has, like his unflipping, or the soul charging himself, like Dark Irregulars and Pale Moon. So that's just a quick video for you to start thinking about these Mega Blasts. Sometimes it's just not worth you doing it, sometimes it really, really is. So, goodbye for now.